Hi, welcome or welcome back. I'm Jacqui, and this is Mind Magic Hypnosis. On my last video, I left it off optimistically saying, let's make 2026 better.
This is an ABC News special report.
Good morning. I'm Allison Cossack, and we're coming on the air this morning to tell you that President Trump has confirmed that strikes on Venezuela have been happening over the past few hours. And according to President Trump, that Nicolas Maduro and his wife have been captured in Venezuela.
New this morning, President Trump just said the United States needs Greenland and that anything less than total control is unacceptable.
This all comes with President Donald Trump telling reporters today that his country doesn't need a free trade deal with Canada and Mexico.
We are also following breaking news out of Minneapolis, Minnesota right now, where a Department of Homeland Security official says a woman was shot in the face by ICE.
Iran's supreme leader is blasting the West tonight, blaming the U.S. for those massive anti-regime protests that prompted violent crackdowns.
President Trump issuing a new threat to our European allies who oppose a U.S. takeover of Greenland.
Well, okay then. That didn't last very long, did it? 2026, so far, has been the longest 2 weeks of my life. There are so many things that I want to talk about, and I'll chunk it down in the next few videos. But today, in this video, I want to talk about Erika Kirk and the TRADWIFE lies. You see, Erika Kirk is not the trad wife that she wants you to be. And all right, before I get into it, I just got to make a comparison and a side note here as somebody who loves music and grew up as a teenager in the 90s. I'm going to say that the last time we saw a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman go on tour after her husband was murdered and killed, died.
Miss Congeniality and her band, ladies and gentlemen. Ho!
For Kurt and Kristen and River and Joe and Rob and today Joni Abbott, this is for you. The sky was made of amethyst. All the stars are just like little fists. You should learn when to guide. You should learn how to say no.
But the difference is, Courtney Love, she didn't have to try to give tickets away for free. Her shows were sold out. As I was watching a comedian late night talk about some of this stuff, and this guy was connecting the dots between Erika Kirk and P. Diddy, I was scrolling the comments, and in the comments, I saw this.
The strangest thing happened during our Arizona vacation. TP USA organizers were everywhere. For days, they handed out free tickets around resorts, churches, and mall, pushing to fill seats for the TP USA Phoenix event. They told us the only requirement was to yell and scream, "We love you, Erika!" We thought, this is insane. It's religious political scam bankrolled by the millionaire elite who get big tax breaks for funding their friends' organizations who live lavish, tax-free lifestyles. What a bunch of phony politicians and cult leaders that have to brainwash and buy people's souls.
What's funny about this is if you live in Los Angeles, you know that seat fillers, that's a thing. That's a paid job. People get paid out here to be extras. And sometimes extra work includes being a seat filler, meaning that award shows are really boring, okay? Nobody really wants to be at award shows. Even the people that are being nominated and winning awards don't really want to be there. But, you know, they got to be there. It's part of their job. But when the cameras pan to the audience, they don't want to show empty seats. So what do? If you're old enough to remember 90s talk shows, you might remember at the end of all of them, they would say, if you're going to be in our area during these dates, call for free studio tickets. Because first they try to sell the tickets, then they give them away. When they can't give them away, they've got to pay people to fill the seats, hence the job seat fillers. And if you live in Los Angeles, that's a job you can do. If you're a young person, a bachelor, a bachelorette, a high school kid, a college kid, and you don't have a family to support, you can make a decent living and support yourself as an extra and even seat fillers. So I found this comment to be really funny, that this person was on vacation in Arizona and they were being harassed by Turning Point USA people to go to the AmFest event, and all they had to do was shout, "Erika, we love you." How cultish. Gross. So of our two blonde hair, blue-eyed American sweetheart widows, at least Courtney Love didn't have to do that. I mean, people wanted tickets, whether they wanted to go and witness the freak show that was Courtney Love post Kurt Cobain. Or, you know, they were genuine Hole fans and wanted to be there, or they were fans of the other act that Hole was either opening for or that was opening for Hole. Nobody was giving those tickets away. So Erika Kirk went to college and she earned degrees long before getting married and having babies. We're not going to get into any of the conspiracy behind Charlie's murder or who did it, who wanted him dead, why, any of that. That's not what I'm interested in talking about here at all. But when it comes to Erika Kirk and the TRADWIFE life, and I want young women to pay attention to this. I want young women to hear what I have to say on this, because what I have to say is a lot more important than anything Katie Miller or Erika Kirk have to say about being a mom and being a trad wife of any kind. Listen to me first. I've been a mom for more than 22 years. I know what I'm talking about. I was lying in a pool of my own blood. I'll get to that. Hold on. It's part of the whole trad wife lie that these women are trying to sell young women. And here's what you need to understand. They're not trad wives. Erika Kirk has college degrees. One of the really weird things that she publicly lied about, like, dude, no one cares if you dated before you got married. I'm pretty sure most people, unless they are in some sort of weird religious cult, date before they get married. That's normal American culture. So Erika did this interview, or I don't know if she was debating kids or doing a Q&A, whatever it was, but she tells this young girl that she didn't even date when she lived in New York.
I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. I don't drink. I find it unproductive. You have to be the type of woman that will attract a Charlie. Are you going to church? Are you going to Bible study? Did you tell your pastor that you are ready for the Lord to bring into your life the man that you've been praying for?
And well, that turns out to be a lie, because here's the thing. You can't go publicly lie about something when there's footage, because you were on a reality show dating and drinking. Now, again, like I said, nobody cares if you date before marriage, and most people don't really care if you drink. You need to understand, Erika Kirk and Katie Miller are both way above you as far as economic class, meaning they don't do diapers. They've got nannies that do the diapers and the burpings and the feedings and all the parent stuff. When their baby's up crying all night, do you think they're the ones missing sleep? No. They have full-time jobs that they have to report to in the morning. So they have nannies that are doing all of the actual mothering to these babies that they just give birth to. Keep that in mind when people are promoting traditional family values, yet they're not home raising their kids. And when they are home, they've got nannies that are changing the diapers and making the food and doing the feedings and the burpings and all the things because they're too busy. Meanwhile, I had 5 kids that were back to back. I had 5 kids under 5 because my twins were twins. So those were 2 at 1, right? Then I had my middle child. That child was an Irish twin with my 4th child. And then 2 years later was my youngest son. And that was 5 under 5. My twins were about a few weeks, 3 weeks away from turning 5 when I had my 5th child. Okay. I didn't have a nanny. I barely had like help on the day-to-day. I did have family help and a support system, but day-to-day, I was the one doing the feedings and the diapers and all of the everything. So these women, they have no idea what they're talking about when they're telling you the joys of motherhood. And there are joys of motherhood. I'm not poo-pooing all over that. And I can get into that in a whole other thing. In fact, I have a whole brand called Beyond Beautiful Births. I work with young mothers, new mothers in the pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum stages. So I do know there are some joys, but there are a lot of hardships. There's a lot of heartache. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of things that these women like Katie Miller and Erika Kirk don't want to talk about because they want you to be disillusioned with only the joys of motherhood.
I found this clip of Katie Miller talking about her new podcast.
And so this is just, how do you do it? How do women do it when we are raising kids and having a career? Because my own career has taught me that you can go by being the vice president's communications director, have 3 kids in 4 years, and then go work for Elon Musk.
Working for Elon Musk. First of all, that's not something that every mother aspires to have as a boss. But more than that, most people don't have the connection to get that job. You can't just walk into SpaceX and get hired. It doesn't work that way. Nepotism is at play. And if your husband was not Stephen Miller, who is one of the highest people to the president, you wouldn't have a chance getting that position for Elon Musk. So she's speaking from a place of privilege, and she's blinded to that.
And so whether that be liberal or conservatives, I think we should all support other women. I think women should encourage other women, and too often we don't.
100%, I agree. Women should lift each other up, and too often we don't. And that means all women, even women that you don't agree with. Conservative women, liberal women, progressive women, Muslim women, Christian women, Jewish women, atheist women, pagan women, all women.
And I think my pitch would be to say that if you're conservative or liberal, raising kids looks a lot of the same in this country.
If she was a regular person, then yes. For the average American, whether you're conservative, liberal, progressive, apolitical, parenting is parenting is parenting is parenting. Whether you're breastfeeding, bottle feeding, diapers, your baby needs to eat, your baby needs to have diapers changed, your baby's going to be teething. And most of us can't afford a nanny. Most of us are going to deal with the struggle day to day. The billionaire class is disconnected from the rest of us. And that's why people like Katie Miller and Erika Kirk are not relatable. So when they're trying to tell you what works for them, that's not going to work for you and me. We don't have the same privilege, the same connections, the same wealth, the same strings we can pull that Erika Kirk and Katie Miller have available to them. These are people who work so much, they probably don't see their partner day to day. Charlie Kirk was on tour traveling campus locations. If she's pregnant or supposed to be home with her kids, or she has jobs, she can't be traveling with him all the time, which means they don't have a traditional marriage. Yes, I realize I'm speaking in present tense of a marriage that no longer exists. I'm illustrating a point. Erika Kirk is not a trad wife, and she never was. But yet she wants to put that out there and portray that image. There has never been a happier widow. Tight ass leather pants and sparklers. Yeah, grief. Everyone grieves differently. No, that's not grief. If you notice in my As the World Burns video, I did mention that my thoughts and prayers were with Charlie's children and parents. If you notice, what I left out and what I did not say was I did not have any sympathy or empathy for the wife, and here's why. I never heard her name before his death. I haven't stopped hearing it afterwards, though. But from the type of person Charlie Kirk was, one of these red-pilled idiots, these guys openly proclaim that women lose all their sexual value in their early 20s, which tells me that as soon as she stopped breeding, he would have just replaced her with a younger model anyway. So I didn't really see their marriage as something that I could take seriously to begin with, because with these types of people, I don't take anything about them seriously. Sorry, I can't. They are not people you can take seriously if you have critical thinking skills. You just can't. The danger in what the trad wife lies now, okay? I was not a traditional trad wife in that I was not Christian. I was not in any way religious. And as I've said before, I was raised in a Jewish family. So there were people in my family that were conservative leaning, that were, pro me having babies and as many as possible. And that supported me going down that path when I was young and in my early 20s. I was in love with my husband. And when my husband and I decided that, well, school shootings are really scary, and that's not really something that we grew up with. Columbine, the first really big school shooting that kind of set off the string of them that we've seen for decades. It has been constant. That wasn't constant when I was going to school, when my husband and I were going to school, when we were young. So when we had kids, that was something that we sat and talked about. He did not want me to go out and work. He wanted me to stay home with the kids and homeschool them while he went out and worked. And I was supposed to find work from home jobs. So I discovered the world of MLMs. And that's a whole other video. And there are some really great people that cover the MLM scams. So I'll talk about that in a whole other, maybe I'll do a little mini series about that, because they definitely use NLP and hypnosis and victim mentality. So very similar to some of the law of assumption stuff. So maybe I will talk more about that. But when I was a young stay-at-home mom, and there was a lot of pressure on me, not only to raise the kids, but also to raise the kids on my own while my husband worked 2 jobs outside of the house and went to school. I was supposed to be raising the kids, cleaning the house, and also working from home and making money, because there's really, unless you're, born into a $1 million Nepo baby family situation, it's unrealistic that one income can support a family these days. It's just not realistic. And that's another part of the trad wife lie, that
most Americans, the idea of homeschooling or the idea of staying home with your kids might sound appealing, but the financial burden and then the stress that financial burden places on the relationship, it creates a very unhealthy dynamic. And I'll get into all of that because it matters. It's important. That's why I wanted to talk about it. I want young women to have the warning from not some charlatan who's being paid to spin some narrative to the American public, but from someone who actually lived it and went through it. I've got the battle scars. My kids have trauma and scars from me trying to make a marriage work with their dad. I did everything I could to make this marriage work because I believed in love and the sanctity of marriage and traditional family values. All of that stuff was really important to me. I felt like I lost my mom at the age of 10 when she remarried. I felt like, the family that I knew was splintered and fractured. And so from that point on, I was trying to recreate a family through my friend groups or whatever. So when I got married and had my own kids, that was my world. I wanted family. That was something, it was a deep need, a craving that I had inside of my soul. The fact is, family is important to me. It always was. Family values matter to me so much because that's in my subconscious programming. And that's where, my grandmother really is the saint of my whole family, my whole life, my whole world, and losing her and grieving her has been so difficult. Two other things about Erika Kirk. The crying with no tears. I was married to a sociopath, not a narcissist, but a textbook sociopath, and they don't cry. I mean, they try to, but they don't produce tears. They can't. They're not capable because it's not genuine. They're trying to act. They're faking it. Anytime you see someone crying, but there's no tears, flag that. That's a sign. That's not someone you want to be associated with. And also, always pay attention to Freudian slips, because that is the subconscious speaking.
Despite the devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU, Caleb has persisted with the same grit. It has been a long day.
Always pay attention to a Freudian slip.
Caleb has persisted with the same grift.
What a beautiful Freudian slip that exposes the real truth that she actually is grifting. She just told you. Her subconscious just told you the truth. Erika Kirk is a bad liar. She has no credibility left. I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence. The fact is they are using religion and language and fears and your own natural subconscious biases against you to turn you against your neighbor, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, your friend, your coworker, your college dorm mate that might think differently than you. They now say anyone who is hostile towards traditional marriage is a terrorist. I'm not a terrorist, but I am hostile towards traditional marriage because it left me lying in a puddle of my own blood. When I told my husband I wanted a divorce and he knew I was serious, he tried to murder me. Murder, M-U-R-D-E-R. I will not mince my words. My husband tried to end my life when I said I wanted a divorce. I was lying in a pool of my own blood. My oldest son still remembers the details of this night. He was not even 8 years old yet. We talk about it from time to time because it's something that still haunts him. He remembers that night. It didn't only affect me traumatically, it affected my children traumatically. Most of them blocked it out, but it lives in their subconscious. And I see when it flares up. When I did divorce their dad, and it was just me and my kids, we had a lot more fun times until their dad showed up and decided to re-trigger the traumas. But when I'm not stressed or angry, when I'm not frustrated and stressing over all the things, I love to have fun. My kids and I, we would have fun. We would have game nights. We would play. We bought the game Family Feud, and we would play Family Feud together. Right? I don't think we ever played Monopoly as a family because, let's face it, Monopoly is not a fun game. It is not fun. We would paint together. We would do art. There were mornings where my kids would be watching cartoons and I'd be having coffee and painting, but we'd all be in the same room laughing and having a good time. When my husband lived with us, that didn't happen if he was home. When he wasn't home, sure, we had great times, but when he was home, he was a tyrant. He wanted to make everyone's life hell, and he did. He threw one of my children into a fireplace and then threatened me that if I went to the cops or took my kid to the hospital, he would do even worse to me. He threw another kid of mine into a closet. He was abusive. He threw me through a window. And then when I had glass shards sticking out of all parts of my chest, and he saw that one was pretty deep in, he leaned forward and slowly pulled it out, and it started gushing blood, and it didn't stop. It didn't stop gushing blood until paramedics came and stitched it up and took me to the hospital, and I needed 17 stitches, but it didn't stop gushing blood no matter how much pressure I applied to it at home. I was lying in a pool of my own blood when cops came to the door. And they only came to the door because my neighbor had seen my body out the window for half a second. I don't remember my body being out the window for half a second. My memory blocked that out. My husband was a monster.
And the worst part is, he actually told me. People tell you who they are. So not only do you need to listen, but you need to believe them. And I recently heard a man say that he doesn't need to lie to a girl because if she likes him enough, she'll lie to herself. And ain't that the damn truth? Because my husband told me in the beginning of our relationship and throughout our marriage, he would say, I am a monster. And I would say,
no, you're not. Don't talk about yourself that way.
But he was telling the truth. Listen and believe people when they tell you who they are.
Katie Miller is also married to a monster.
We respect life. Therefore, torture is the way to go. Because torture people can live. Torture is a celebration of life and human dignity.
I don't know if Charlie Kirk was a monster. It's kind of looking like Erika Kirk was probably the monster in that relationship.
It's the same spirit. Indeed it is. This is Kenneth Copeland, one of the famous mega church pastors who's very wicked and evil looking as well. All about the money. Look at same energy. Somebody asked me, is she a reptilian wolf? Well, lizard people exist. She's definitely one of them. Along with this guy.
And we ask the Lord to protect us. We said our prayer. And we ask the Lord to protect us. We said our prayer.
Nobody's buying it. Yo, people are straight up roasting her on this app. I don't know what X is doing, but Threads, people are roasting her to no end.
And I'm not going to defend Charlie Kirk and say he was a good guy because I don't think he was a good guy. And I do think the world is better off without people like him spreading hate and misogyny. Misogyny is a mind virus that needs to die. Misogyny. But compassion and empathy and critical thinking have never been more important. So if you're with me on that, then like and subscribe and follow for more, because I'll be back with more. But I just wanted you to know how dangerous this tradwife lie is, because these women, they're not tradwives. They have jobs. They're not home with their kids. And when they are home, I guarantee you they have nannies. These are billionaires with a B, not millionaires with an M, billionaires. Katie Miller's baby is even rumored to maybe even be Elon Musk's. Wouldn't put it past those creeps, all of them, because they're all creeps. If you want to be a wife, now, not a partner. A wife is not a partner. Keep that in mind. Hold on. There is a difference between a wife and a partner. If you want to be a wife, which is akin to a modern day concubine, maid, secretary for your husband, who will also do all the dishes, all the diapers, all the cooking, that's a wife. If you want to be a wife, by all means, I support you. If you want that, I don't support it if it's forced on you by your church, by your parents, by your community, by your grandparents, by whoever. I don't support it if it's forced on you. I only support it for you if it's your choice and it's something you want. And it's okay to want that. At one time, I did want that, and I pursued it, and it was a nightmare, and it literally left me almost dead. And after that, I found something that made me much happier and much more fulfilled. And I'm still a mom. And I raised my kids. And I'm raising another kid. So being a mom is not the worst thing in the world, but it's very hard. It's not something that should be forced on anyone. If you don't want to be a mom, don't become a mom. It's very hard, and it shouldn't be forced on anyone. And that's where I stand. I'm pro-choice. If it is your choice to be a mom and have babies, I support you, and I will do whatever I can to support you on that journey to make it as less stressful as possible. Because, you know, over 22 years, I might have learned a thing or two. And if you don't want to be a mom and there's other dreams you want to pursue instead, I fully encourage that. And I think you should, because women who don't want to be moms, that are forced to be moms against their will, end up being really, really bad moms. These are the women that end up in jail, prison, infanticide, drug addiction, suicide. They don't make for good moms, and it will end up killing them because it is terrible. Not every woman with a womb is meant to carry a baby. It's hard emotionally, physically, hormonally, and then the bounce back is really hard. And I don't mean like physically getting back in shape, although that can be really hard too for some women if your metabolism, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the fact is, it's hard hormonally, emotionally to bounce back, especially if you keep having baby after baby after baby after baby after baby. A vagina is not a clown car. A vagina is not a clown car. I had 5 kids who were under the age of 5 when my youngest son was born. And I was in my early 20s, and I thought I knew what I was doing. And now my oldest kids are in their early 20s, and my youngest son is about to graduate high school. So I've come a long way, and I've learned a lot. And I want to share the wisdom that I've learned with other young women who are just starting out, that are in their 20s. Listen to what I have to say, and listen to Jenny Gage over at Life Takes Two. Listen to what we have to say. before you go listen to some woman like Erika Kirk or Katie Miller, just because they have billions of dollars. Jenny Gage and I have real experience to speak of from raising kids and having multiple kids at a young age, and what it's like to be a trad wife and not work and be the mom that does all the things and the homeschooling and all of it. I didn't hate all of it, but I didn't love all of it. And I'll tell you the truth, the good, the bad, all of it. What I won't do is I won't lie to you about my dating history or other stupid shit, because, well, that's really fucking irrelevant. And when you lie about something like that, like, who cares if you dated and had a few drinks? Who cares? Nobody cares. But when you lie about that, when you come out and blatantly lie, that's a problem. That's a red flag. That's a stain on your credibility and a stain on you as a human being. So I would say Courtney Love's got a lot more credibility than Erika Kirk, and Courtney Love was a junkie.
What do? Do I ignore it? Do I acknowledge it? Is there a middle ground? What can I do? Do I sit here and, play Betty Crocker and pretend that I don't write music?
So this
and
was
die?
So this was your way of what? Paying tribute to him by doing that on stage?
It's more catharsis for you. It's catharsis.
And you know what they say about junkies, right? How can you tell when a junkie is lying? Their lips are moving. Funnily enough, during my marriage, my mom and I had the same exact saying about my husband, who was also a pathological liar, along with being a sociopath. Those two things do go hand in hand. Sociopaths do lie pathologically. So I know it when I see it. And oh my God, am I seeing it so much in all of this maggot regime.
I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. I don't drink. I find it unproductive.
That's all I wanted to say for this video. The TRADWIFE lies are lies. Erika Kirk is not a TRADWIFE. Katie Miller is not a TRADWIFE. Candace Owens, not a TRADWIFE. Pearly Things, not a wife. In my Mind Magic Understanding Your Subconscious Superpowers book, which I'm going to be releasing very soon, and I'll give you more updates and more details about that in my next video. The last chapter of that book talks about how my husband and I, at the end of my marriage, were living in two different states of mind, heaven and hell, how heaven and hell are states of mind. And we were existing in heaven and hell simultaneously while in the same physical space. My marriage was a literal nightmare. I'll talk more about my book in my next video, but I wanted to really just get on here and talk about the TRADWIFE lie because I think it is so dangerous. And after leaving my marriage, one of my missions became helping other women see when they are in that kind of toxic trap. And that's what it is. It's a toxic trap because we women, we fall in love and then we want to nurture, we want to care for, we want to take care of these men that treat us so horribly, and we make excuses for their behavior, and we keep having their babies, and we keep thinking it'll get better, and it doesn't. It only gets worse. I can speak to that over and over and over again, and I will talk more about it because it is important. I'm going to end this video on that note. If you're interested in what I do, you can check me out at mindmagichypnosis.com. And I'll see you in the next video.